welcome back to Happily Handmade. I'm Wendy and today I'm going to talk about alcohol markers in the main. So I have a few different types of alcohol marker, but what I've been finding recently is obviously I've got quite a few, well, I've got quite a collection, let's be honest, of books in Amazon paper. And although I do have some very nice alcohol markers, obviously Amazon paper varies in quality quite a lot, really, doesn't it? So the RJ Hampton ones, I think it's not too bad a paper, it's not too bad. But I've bought quite a bit of Cocoa Wire this year, and this one in particular, this is a lovely book. I really love the images in it. It's got some cracking pages in it. I like colouring in it. But the paper in this, as you probably already know, because I've mentioned it 100 times already, it's very rough. It's very rough. And when I bought this one, I also bought this one, and I think I bought Tiny Creatures as well at the same time. And that also has the same paper in. So as far as my alcohol markers go, yes, I can obviously use my alcohol markers in any of these books, no problem. Let me get them out of the way because it's just going to be in the way. But my alcohol markers, obviously, that rough page, it does undoubtedly cause some issues with the nibs, with paper that is so rough, and obviously it's using a lot of ink. Now, I was quite fortunate in that I do have quite a lot of Copic Sketch. They're lovely, I love using them. I don't love using them on that paper, and realistically, obviously, as you all know, these are an expensive pen. They are not cheap to refill, they're not cheap to buy new pens. So my other pens that I have, and I've fished out some of all of them. I have some of these Spectras. I don't have a huge amount. These are quite expensive for what they are in the UK. Hobbycraft carry them. They have some nice colours in them. They are a chisel one end and a brush nib the other end. It's quite a soft brush nib compared to some of the other brands that are out there. It does have a little bit of give, but they're quite nice markers. I do quite like using them, but obviously Hobbycraft don't carry any kind of refill. These don't seem to last very long. I bought a pack of these specifically I think for a blue, for something I was doing for a project, and by the time I'd finished the project the blue was already run out, and you can't buy them in singles, so they're kind of not ideal. Obviously, as I've mentioned before, I have a fair few Letraset Pro markers, and the newer ones are obviously Winsor & Newton Pro markers, and I think they've been rebranded again. I think they're still Winsor & Newton, but they look different again, don't they now? But I've no lover of the bullet nib in these. Obviously, for big pages, letter A4 in a colouring book, these, they're not great to blend with, which is a shame really, because I do love Winsor & Newton ink. I think the ink in these is really lovely. The colours are beautiful, but there doesn't seem to be any great colour plan with these. They have some great colours, but if you want a lighter and darker tone of this mulberry, there isn't one. So then you're kind of picking out some of their other colours. Like I've just picked a random set out of my set there, but probably if I was trying to find dark, mid and light, that'd be the closest I've got. This isn't really the same pink as those ones, and you're constantly having issues like that with Winsor & Newton. And a brand like this, you can't get refills, you can't get replacement nibs. This is a one-time use only pen. It doesn't make me want to go and buy some more. It kind of, well, as you probably heard me mention before, I've just been kind of using these up, but even trying to use them up, they're not my first pick out of my trays of pens, because I don't want to battle with the nibs. I prefer a brush. I have, again, you might have seen them on the channel, I do have, I think, is it 52 of these? I think I have 52 of these. They're great. I actually quite like the brushes in here. They're a much softer brush and a much smaller brush. than the other two that I've just been looking at, but I quite like the ink again in them. Obviously you've got the blending chambers, it gives you something else to use, but again you still kind of have this kind of, I just wanted a made a dark and a light. I don't have to blend a light every time I need to use it, because I'm not going to get that to be the same depth of colour every time. And then because I bought those books, I did buy these little deco time markers that you probably, if you've watched my finished pages, you've probably heard me mention these a few times. I think I got one set from the works, and then I realised there was a second set that I saw in the range, so I got the second set thinking, oh, they're a good cheap marker, they're a brush marker, I'll try those. These have got a small brush again on one side, and they have a little fine liner thing on the other end. The problem I'm having with these is really the colour palette again. In some respects I think you do get what you pay for with markers, because you're paying for the ink really, and as the ends show on this, the colours in them are very, very bright. Probably if you're doing mandalas or you're doing something where you're not too worried about the colour palette that you're choosing, these would be great. They were a good cheap buy. I think they're a good little pen. I just find, oh, I need a colour, this colour, I haven't got it. I need a colour that's this colour and one that's slightly darker, I haven't got it. And I've got all the ones that they make of these ones. So I will still continue to use these. You will no doubt hear them being used on the channel quite often, because there are some good markers, and for a big background these are quite a juicy little pen. They seem to have a lot of marker ink in them, so I've been quite pleased with them. Same with all of these, I'm quite pleased with them in their own way, but for books like I've just shown, all of them kind of aren't quite ticking my box. My Copics on their own, if I was a millionaire, I'd just use these and not worry about wrecking them and using all the expensive ink up. But the realities of life are not that, are they? We've got to think about budget. I don't have to keep buying refills for these and replacement brush nibs and things like that, because that's expensive. So I was looking for a cheaper option. So let me slide all this out the way. In fact, I'm going to pause you while I slide all this out the way. Hurrah, back. I've already got loads of stuff on my desk next to me. Couldn't deal with anything more just hanging around, so I had to put it away. So yeah, I've been kind of umming and ahhing about what to do about alcohol markers, because like I say, it's not like I haven't got any. I'm aware I should just use what I've got, and that would be great, but they're kind of not quite ticking the box for me, and I wanted something that was just a bit easier to use, but mainly something that I was not going to worry about, oh, this is costing a fortune, I don't want to spend a fortune with it. So I was looking for a cheaper option. So I took my mother out this week and we went up to a shop called Boundary Mill up in the north of England, and they had some Spectrum Noir stuff on offer, as you can see. These are normally, I've put myself a little sticker on to remind me, these are normally £9.99 for 3 of the tried blends, but they had them, as you can see, for £6.99. And Illustrator have been winking at me for quite a while as well, so I thought, ooh, pack of Illustrator for £3, yep, I'll have that, because they were supposed to obviously be a lot more than that as well. I think these are in the old designed boxes, aren't they, and I suspect that was why. So I've got basically another 12 markers here in the Illustrator for £6, and I've got a set of the tri-blends for £6 that just have the, what have they got in them, pale pink blend, fur skin blend and tan blend. Then this set is the earth set that I got, and they do look great, don't they? I quite like the look of these hexagons. I don't think I love the feel of them, but I quite like the look of them, so I was quite pleased with them when I got these home really, and actually had a look at them. But I've got khaki, goldenrod, moss green, petrol blue, I can't read it because it's upside down, raw sienna, and finally pale mint in one box. And then in the other box I got plastic, a lot of plastic, vintage pink, pink lace, wisteria, dusty purple, old china, and finally smoky blue. So I was quite pleased with these, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna have a look, see what they're like online. and then had a bit of play with them, like you do, obviously. And sadly, I really wanted to like the illustrator. I thought, actually, these are kind of like a little cheap Copic, aren't they? They've got quite a nice brush on one end, and they've got a handy, quite fine nib on the other, which can also be really useful. So I thought, actually, maybe these are the answer to my problem. And then I did start to try and play about with them a bit. I've got ink on this page already, but... And then I was like, oh, these are a bit dry. Okay, I've paid cheap price for them, so I'm not going to moan too much about the state of them. And I thought, oh, well, you know, they've been in a shop, they've been hung up, you know how they do in a shop, they've got them hung up by the little swing tab thing at the top, which obviously is not ideal to keep a marker upright. And how long have they been in the shop like that? I don't know. So I thought, do you know what, I'm going to leave them for a week, laid down flat somewhere in my room, let the ink kind of balance out, and we'll see how they are. But as you've just seen, they're still a bit dry. Sadly, they are still a bit dry. I'm not too fussed, I'll use them up. There's still some ink in them. I'm half thinking I have got some Copic clear blending ink that I might drop a few drops in each of them just to see if that helps a little bit, just to liven these back up. But then it left me with a quandary. Is this what these are like? Are they a dry marker? Or is it just that I've bought an older set and they have dried out a little bit? So you go and do some reading, don't you? Read some reviews, see other people, and I have to say, looking at Amazon for the illustrator, quite a lot of people mentioned these are quite dry. So yeah, as much as I think they look beautiful, I like the nibs. I was really impressed with these before I started to actually do the actual business with them. Yeah, they were kind of a bit of a letdown. I like them. Like I say, I'm going to try and do something with them so these particular ones are useful. But these I did like. These I did like a lot. And probably if you've seen my thumbnail at the front, you've probably already figured that one out for yourself. Yeah, I've got two minds about them. They're obviously you can't have a huge amount of ink in these bodies, can you? I think that was the thing that I thought straight away, and perhaps what's put me off. I don't particularly love having this massive marker. I think in some respects that's what puts me off a little bit with the Chameleon, because it's like, it's a huge, great big thing to have in your hand, and the Chameleons in particular, they do weigh quite a bit for a marker. These are a bit lighter, even when you've got all three attached like this. But overall, when I did a little bit of playing about with these, I was quite pleased with the ink that was in them. I thought the ink was quite nice, and I think the brush heads are quite nice. And obviously, in terms of it being a storage item, you know, you've got 3 pens just in one little slot. They're quite handy to have on your desk within easy reach, and you've got quite a lot of markers to reach. So yeah, so I fell down the tri-blend brush hole, and I'm going to clean away all of this and I shall be back. Better, some space, hurrah. So obviously, yes, I did fall down the tri-blends little hole, and these arrived. And I thought, yeah, these are lovely, but obviously I ordered these. Then you start looking at reviews, don't you, and think, oh, yes, there's a few people saying a few things about these. I thought, and then you keep looking, don't you, and then I think, what would be the answer to the problems with these is these. So there are 2 boxes of these brush tri-blends. Obviously the chisel ones are not for me, but the brush ones I did really like. But when I looked at some reviews for the tri-blend blush, quite a lot of people were saying that some of the jumps between some of the colours in these ones were quite big. So when it came to blending them, they could be a little bit, some of the colours were a little bit problematic. So it looks to me like this set is designed to fix some of the issues in colour choices for this set. So when I have swatched them, these are what you get between the 2 boxes. So 144 colours, over 48 markers. And that is one of the things that appeals really. I can have them in the shelves. I have some of the Spectrum Noir trays that you can get, so obviously keeping 48 markers in there is it's not going to take up too much space, whereas 144 markers over there, it's going to take up a lot more space in a traditional form. So in that respect, these were quite attractive. But in terms of some of the colour jumps, for example, this one I've seen demonstrated on quite a few people's videos quite a lot, that the jump between the True Blue, I don't know why I can't say that, blend is quite deep, and it is quite deep. You've got a very heavy dark blue, you've got a mid blue, and then a super pale light blue next to it. But in the extended box you now get this little set that works quite well with the other set of blues. Excuse me, getting my glasses because the letters on this are so small that I can't read them. So in the original one you've got TB1, TB4 and TB8 I think is the very dark one, but the extended box now gives you TB3, which obviously is just one below TB4 on this side. It gives you TB5, so it's a step up from TB4 on this side, and then you've got a 7. So it allows you between these two markers now, if you're struggling to blend, to go this one, that one, this one, that one, that one and that one. And obviously you could use 3 of those between you. Yes, you'd have both pens out, and maybe it's a bit more of a fiddle between the two tri-blends, but it means that that step, that probably that was quite a big step if you were trying to blend them just on their own, you've got the other one that's the same colour tone, but you can do the slightly different ones with it. And there's a couple more. The pinks, again, you've got an extended one, you've got pale pinks, you've got an extended one that goes with it. So I kind of felt when I started looking at the two colour charts online together, I thought actually these two boxes together kind of fixes a lot of the criticisms that I'm seeing of just this set that they seem to bring out first. And I really like the colour palette. I'm not a great lover of these kind of really bright fuchsia-y pinks. I much prefer a bit more of a subtle tone of pinks, but you've got a bit of both in here. This original box kind of only had this kind of golden yellow by itself, but the extended gives you these other two ones in here as well, and again I think they'll work quite well all together, those 3 colours looking at them. Same with the jades. The jade on its own, these seem a bit close, so now you've got a darker one to really split that up. And overall I think all together I was quite pleased with the colour palettes that I've got in these now, been developed between the two boxes. So they come with 24 in each box that I can't open. Oh, there we go. So obviously this is the originals, and then you've got the extended box that come with the same little advice sheet. The advice sheet I think basically is suggesting always apply light colour over the whole area first, then start from the dark down back through the mid and to the light. I don't generally do that myself. I probably won't do that. I feel like you're going to use a lot of your light ink up doing that, because you're basically just moistening the page with it, which seems a bit wasteful to me. But yeah, so these have arrived today. I'm really pleased with them. As you can see, I've already done the initial swatch chart for them. But what I was also interested in doing is I've printed out another, let me shove those up that way a little bit. I've printed out another one of which I'm going to try and do the blends just as they are in one pen to begin with, just to see how they are working just one pen every time when you're trying to blend them. So I'm going to do this one as well now, trying to actually blend them, not just doing the actual what the colours look like on their own. To see, I'm using a little bit because it didn't, annoyingly, it didn't quite just fit on one page, just to be annoying. Always the way, isn't it? So I'm going to swatch these to blend them. I'm going to bung myself on fast forward because this is going to take a little bit of time, definitely. I'm doing these on, just in case you want to know, I'm sure it doesn't really matter what I'm trying, but I'm doing this on Letraset bleed proof marker paper. I'm no expert on marker paper. This I've had for years and years. I don't even know if you can get anything branded with Letraset on anymore, let alone whether that marker pad still exists or not. I do not know. But yeah, I'm going to do the blend for all of these. I probably will move the paper about quite a lot because blending, you need the right angle for it. So I'll pop you on to fast forward and hopefully I'll see what I think by the time we get to the end of all of these. I'll probably put you on super quick so it doesn't take ages for you. It should be fairly quick, hopefully. I'm just going to move them out the way a bit so I've got a bit of room before I start. I shall speak to you at the end. Okay, so here we are, pretty much all the colours swatched. I'm just going to turn the light up a bit so you can see the colours a bit more true to how they are. What do I think? Yeah, definitely the original set, this box. This one is harder to blend, definitely, than the extended set that I have there as well. These ones, definitely, some of them were very difficult. The True Blue that a lot of people are moaned about, it is kind of blending on here, but obviously I'm on marker paper, so that does make blending a little bit easier, and I'm not new to alcohol markers. I've used them for a long time. I've used the Pro markers and then they don't blend together very well, so I'm used to having a fight with those. So compared to those, obviously even this that's difficult, I've kind of managed it to go there. The new one, the extended, is a bit easier, but I think the idea was to use these with this one rather than do these just as separate blends. And I think when you use the two together and really pick which colours you want to use, then the two together will make a great set. Same with these bright pink, the original one, the bright pink blend, the mid into the light and is tricky, and the one into the dark. The newer one, the extended one, is a bit better, but again, I think if you use both pens together and work out which of the ones you want to use, you could make that easier to put together. But in the main, most of them, I think, have blended really well. But like I say, I am cheating a little bit in that I'm on marker paper, so it does give you a little bit more time. It's a bit less absorbent, so you've got a bit more time to move it and all of that. But I think the colour palette of these is beautiful. If I'm really honest, I think this Fair Skin blend looks really lovely on here, and it blends really nicely, both of them. But when I've noticed it on other papers, because this was in that little pack that I got originally, it felt a bit kind of orangey to me when I did my Copic skins that I always use next to it. I do still prefer my Copic skin colour. It's a little bit more natural. These have a touch too much red in for my taste, my personal taste, but they're a good Fair Skin blend. I think they're very useful. I think these are lovely. They're very useful. Overall, yeah, I think they're a really nice set together. I did notice there was some differences between them though. I've bought both these sets this week from Amazon UK, and the extended set, this set, these brushes are harder than this original set. Now this set, the original one, came direct from Amazon, delivered by Amazon. My extended set I ordered via Amazon, but it came direct from Spectrum Noir, so clearly these are the updated ones, the extended set, and the brush is definitely a little bit firmer. So again, it's personal choice, isn't it, whether you like that or you don't. I think a firmer brush lasts longer, so personally I'm quite happy about that. But particularly as I'm going through this sheet, and obviously I'm picking one out of one box, one out of the other, that was very noticeable that these seem a little bit firmer and they seemed a little bit more juicy in terms of what ink was in them. I'm guessing that's because these are a more recent production than these. But yeah, I noticed those two differences, particularly when I was going through the sets. If you're new to markers, I think definitely this extended set, these were easier to blend in the main overall. And maybe if you're just wanting to buy one of these might be a nice set as a starting set if you've not used alcohol markers a huge amount and you want a mid-priced set. The only thing I'll say is obviously this set is designed to be used with the other set, so I'm just thinking what colours are in here. It is quite a strange colour palette, I suppose. Let me try and pick these up because I've not got them in a case or anything. It's a bit difficult to show you. So the first set that are in this colour palette, can you see, are these ones. So you've got those two nice yellows, you've got the extended coral, you've got some greens, you've got some blues in that first one. Ooh, not easy to pick up and not easy to put down. And they weren't easy to get out and keep them in order, because they're in order. I kind of want them in order so I can put them in my trays in a minute. Let me try and get hold of these. Second tray, you've got some more blues, you've got some nice purples, you've got some pinks, you've got the extended pale pink, antique pink, Fair Skin extended, tan extended. So obviously you wouldn't have the actual Fair Skin tone in that set, and then this one's going to be a nightmare to pick up in order. I'll give up in order, I'll just have it in a handful. So yeah, this is the other tray out of the new ones. Earth brown, red brown, muted brown, golden brown, brown grey, green grey, which I think is a really nice mix, blue grey and ice grey. So it is a strange set of colours if you just bought the extended main set. But I do think they were easier pens to use. The mixes in them were much easier, but you haven't really got a strong red in the if you just had that set. Obviously the other set, there's loads of bits about the old set because I think it's over a year old now, isn't it, the original set. Price wise, this one, the original, I got much cheaper. So that was on offer on Amazon. I think it was 45, 46, something like that. The extended that I've had my eye on a while, it's been on Amazon for a while, but no stock for a long time. This seems to have popped back in this week. This you can't, well, in the UK I couldn't see it anywhere for less than £79.99. So it is an investment. These aren't the cheapest markers. They aren't my cheapest markers. Clearly my Decatime ones are much cheaper, but I think this is a very usable set, both these boxes together. This is a cracking colour palette. Pretty much most things in my colouring books I could tackle with this set without having to bite into my Copics or anything else in the tray. I think if you just need one set, this is a great starting point. Whether this will become more available and you'll find it on offers if you wait a bit longer, I don't know. I hadn't been following this till fairly recently, so I'm not aware whether this has been in stock and gone out of stock and it's just taken them a while to come back in, or whether it's fairly new. I honestly don't know. I've not been following them that long to find out. But as a whole set together, I think it works really nicely. I'm not intending to baby these. I'm going to use them in some of those pages that have got quite tricky papers in them, and then yeah, maybe I'll add a bit to this or do an extended bit where I mention how they've gone long term. How easy these will be to refill, obviously I don't know, I haven't tried. I know Spectrum Art do inks for these. A number of reviewers I noticed said it was quite difficult to work out which inks were the right ones for these, so maybe that'll be a problem in the future, I don't know. But at the moment they're all working really well. The colours are really nice, they blend together really nice, and they are a cheaper set that I don't have to worry about quite so much, and I can use them on papers that I know are probably going to cause some nib damage on my pens. So yeah, overall I'm pretty pleased with them. Hopefully it gives you a better insight into maybe what the extended one looks like when you add these two sets together. Thank you for watching, hope it was useful for you.